Dr. Alex Rivera loved his quiet life on Maple Street. As a scientist who studied strange life forms, he spent most days in his home lab, looking through microscopes and reading research papers. His neighbors were friendly but kept to themselves, which was exactly how Alex liked it. That peaceful routine changed on a Tuesday morning when the moving truck arrived next door. Alex was drinking his morning coffee when he heard the rumbling engine. Through his kitchen window, he watched as workers unloaded boxes and furniture. But something felt off about the whole scene. The movers seemed nervous, whispering to each other and glancing around like they were being watched. Then he saw her. The woman stepped out of a sleek black car and Alex nearly dropped his mug. She was tall with striking features and the most unusual eyes he had ever seen. They seemed to shift color in the morning light, going from deep blue to almost silver. Her long dark hair moved in the breeze, but everything else about her seemed perfectly still, like she was posing for a photograph. She spoke quietly to the movers and Alex noticed they all straightened up immediately, working faster and more efficiently. Within 2 hours, the entire moving process was complete. In Alex's experience, moving usually took all day, sometimes 2 days. This was impossible. Over the next few days, Alex found himself glancing out his windows more often than usual. His new neighbor, who had introduced herself simply as Luna, kept strange hours. Her house stayed dark during the day, but at night, soft blue and green lights would glow from her windows. Not regular lamplight, but something that pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. The really weird part was what happened to Alex's equipment. He had sensitive instruments in his home lab that measured electromagnetic fields and radiation levels. They were usually rock steady, but now they went crazy whenever. Luna was in her backyard. The readings spiked so high that Alex had to recalibrate everything 3 times. One evening, while Alex was grilling dinner on his patio, Luna appeared in her backyard. She wore simple jeans and a white t-shirt, but somehow she looked like she belonged in a magazine. She was planting something in her garden, working with her bare hands in the dirt. "Nice evening for gardening," Alex called over the fence, trying to sound casual. Luna looked up, and when their eyes met, Alex felt a strange tingling sensation run down his spine. Her smile was warm, but seemed to hold secrets. "I prefer working in the cooler air," she replied. Her voice had a musical quality, like she was always on the verge of singing. "Plants grow better when they're not stressed by heat," Alex nodded, though he was pretty sure most vegetables actually liked warm weather. "I'm Alex, by the way. I don't think we properly met when you moved in." "Luna," she said, wiping her hands on a towel. "You're the scientist, right? I saw the equipment deliveries." "Guilty as charged. I study unusual life forms. Bacteria, microorganisms, anything that doesn't fit the normal patterns." Alex found himself wanting to keep talking to her, which was unusual for him. He typically avoided long conversations with neighbors. "That sounds fascinating," Luna said, and she seemed genuinely interested. "What's the strangest thing you've ever discovered?" Alex was about to answer when something incredible happened. Luna had been holding a small plant in her hand, something that looked half dead and wilted. As they talked, the plant began to change. Its leaves grew greener and stronger, and tiny flowers started to bloom. Within minutes, it looked completely healthy and vibrant. That's amazing," Alex stammered. "What kind of fertilizer do you use?" Luna glanced down at the plant as if she had forgotten she was holding it. A brief look of panic crossed her face before she smiled again. "Just good soil and lots of patience." She quickly planted the now thriving flower and brushed off her hands. "I should head inside. Early morning tomorrow." "Of course," Alex said, though he was bursting with questions. "Have a good night, Luna." As she walked toward her house, Alex noticed that his outdoor solar lights began flickering. The motion sensor light on his garage turned on and off repeatedly, even though nothing was moving. His phone, sitting on the patio table, started buzzing with notifications from his lab equipment inside. That night, Alex couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the plant transformation and the way his electronics acted up around Luna. As a scientist, he knew there had to be a logical explanation, but his instruments were telling a different story. Around midnight, he gave up on sleep and went to his lab to check his readings. The electromagnetic sensors showed activity levels that should have been impossible in a residential neighborhood. The patterns were unlike anything in his textbooks, almost like they were organized, purposeful. Alex pulled up his computer and started researching similar cases. Hours passed as he dove into scientific journals, government reports, and even some conspiracy theory websites. Most of it was nonsense, but there were a few documented cases of unexplained electromagnetic phenomena near certain individuals. As dawn approached, Alex finally fell asleep at his desk, surrounded by printouts and empty coffee cups. In his dreams, he saw vast landscapes under alien stars, with cities that glowed like aurora lights and beings of pure energy dancing across the sky. The dreams felt incredibly real, more like memories than imagination. When he woke up a few hours later, Alex found himself thinking about Luna again. There was definitely something special about his new neighbor, something that his scientific mind couldn't quite categorize yet. But instead of being concerned, he felt excited. After years of studying life in petri dishes, maybe he had finally found something truly extraordinary right next door. Little did Alex know that Luna was having similar thoughts about him, and that both their lives were about to change in ways neither could imagine. Alex couldn't stop thinking about Luna. 3 weeks had passed since their first conversation, and every day brought new mysteries. His scientific instruments continued going haywire whenever she was nearby, and he had started keeping a detailed log of the strange readings. The breakthrough came on a rainy Thursday evening. Alex was adjusting his equipment when he noticed something incredible on his computer screen. The electromagnetic patterns weren't random at all. They had structure, rhythm, almost like a heartbeat or breathing pattern, but no human could produce energy signatures this complex. Alex printed out the data and spread it across his desk. The patterns reminded him of something from his graduate studies, but he couldn't place it. He grabbed his old textbooks and started comparing the readings to known biological signatures. Nothing matched. These readings were completely outside the range of any Earth-based life form. The next morning, Alex decided he needed to be more direct. He had to know what was causing these readings, and Luna was clearly connected. When he saw her car pull into her driveway, he took a deep breath and walked over. "Luna, can I talk to you for a minute?" he called out as she got out of her car. She turned, and Alex noticed she looked tired. There were dark circles under her unusual eyes, and her normally perfect appearance seemed strained. "Of course, Alex. What's on your mind?" Alex held up the printouts. "These are electromagnetic readings from my lab. They spike every time you're home. I'm not trying to spy on you, but as a scientist I have to ask what's causing this." Luna stared at the papers for a long moment. Alex could see different emotions playing across her face: surprise, fear, and something that looked like relief. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you," she said quietly. "Try me. I've spent my career studying things that don't make sense." Luna looked around nervously, then gestured toward her backyard. "Not here. Too many windows, too many ears. Come inside." Alex followed her through her back door, and immediately felt like he had entered a different world. Luna's house looked normal from the outside, but the interior was unlike anything he had ever seen. The walls seemed to shimmer slightly, and there were no electrical outlets or light switches anywhere. Instead, soft blue light emanated from panels in the ceiling that looked like they were made of some kind of crystal. "Please sit down," Luna said, gesturing to a chair that looked normal but felt incredibly comfortable, like it was adjusting to his body. "Luna, what is all this?" Alex asked, looking around in amazement. She sat across from him and took a deep breath. "My real name isn't Luna. It's not even pronounceable in your language. I'm not from Earth, Alex. I'm from a place very far away, farther than your telescopes can see." Alex felt his world tilt. Part of his scientific mind wanted to laugh, but the evidence was right in front of him. The strange readings, the impossible technology, the way she seemed to heal plants with her touch. "You're saying you're an alien," he said slowly. "That's your word for it. My people call ourselves the Kai Terra. We're energy beings, which means we exist primarily as consciousness and electric fields. This human body is just a form I created so I could live here without being noticed. To demonstrate, Luna held up her hand. Alex watched in amazement as her skin began to glow with soft blue light. The light spread up her arm, and for a moment, he could see through her hand as if it were made of translucent energy. "This is impossible," Alex whispered, but he couldn't deny what he was seeing. "Your science doesn't understand it yet, but energy and matter are more connected than you realize. My people learned to control this connection millions of years ago." The light faded and Luna looked human again, but Alex could never see her the same way. "Why are you telling me this? Isn't this supposed to be secret?" Luna nodded. "It is. My people have observers on many worlds, learning about different forms of life. We're not supposed to make personal connections or reveal ourselves. But Alex..." She paused, looking directly into his eyes. "Something is happening to me that shouldn't be possible." "What do you mean?" "My people go through cycles, periods when our energy fields become very active and we form deep connections with others of our kind. It's starting to happen to me, but instead of connecting with another Kai Terra, I'm connecting with you." Alex felt that tingling sensation again, stronger this time. "Is that why my equipment goes crazy around you?" "Yes, and it's getting stronger. Every time we talk, every time we're near each other, the connection grows deeper. This isn't supposed to happen between different species." Alex stood up and started pacing. His scientific mind was racing with questions, but underneath the curiosity was something else, a strange sense of rightness about what Luna was telling him. "What happens if this connection keeps growing?" he asked. Luna looked worried. "I don't know. This has never happened before in our recorded history. But Alex, there's something else you need to understand. If my people discover what's happening, they'll take me away from Earth immediately. And if the connection is as strong as I think it's becoming..." "What?" "Breaking it might hurt both of us in ways we can't imagine." Alex stopped pacing and looked at Luna. Despite everything she had just told him, despite the impossibility of the situation, he realized he didn't want her to leave. The connection she was talking about, he could feel it too. It was like finding a missing piece of himself he never knew was gone. "So what do we do?" he asked. Luna smiled sadly. "I don't know. But whatever happens, I'm glad I told you the truth. I've been alone here for so long, pretending to be something I'm not. It feels good to be myself with someone." As Alex looked into her shifting eyes, he realized his quiet life on Maple Street was over forever. Whatever came next, there was no going back to the way things were before. The week after Luna's revelation passed in a blur of secret conversations and growing strangeness. Alex found himself thinking about her constantly, and not just because she was an alien living next door. There was something deeper happening, something that made him feel more alive than he had in years. Luna had explained that her people's connection cycles usually lasted about a month, with the intensity building toward a peak. She was trying to fight it, spending hours in what she called energy meditation to keep her natural state under control. But Alex could see the strain it was putting on her. The real crisis began on a Saturday night, during the worst thunderstorm Alex had ever experienced. The power had been out for hours, and he was reading by flashlight when he heard a loud crash from Luna's yard. Through the rain and lightning, he could see strange lights flickering around her house, not the usual soft blue glow, but wild, chaotic flashes of different colors. Without thinking, Alex grabbed his raincoat and ran outside. The storm was so intense he could barely see, but he managed to make it to Luna's back door. It was unlocked, and he let himself in. What he found inside made him freeze in shock. Luna was in her living room, but she wasn't fully human anymore. Her body flickered between solid form and pure energy, like a person-shaped lightning bolt. The furniture around her was floating in the air, spinning slowly, and the crystal panels in her ceiling were strobing with blinding light. "Luna!" Alex shouted over the electrical humming that filled the room. She turned toward him, and her eyes were now completely silver, glowing like stars. "Alex, you shouldn't be here. I can't control it anymore. The cycle has reached the peak, and your presence makes it stronger. What can I do to help?" "Nothing. You need to leave before..." Her words were cut off as another wave of energy pulsed through the room. Alex felt it hit him like a warm ocean wave, and suddenly he could sense Luna's thoughts and emotions as clearly as his own. He felt her fear, her loneliness, her desperate attempt to maintain control. But underneath all that, he felt something else, a deep, overwhelming connection to him that made his heart race. "I can feel you," he whispered in amazement. "That's the connection forming," Luna said, her voice echoing strangely. "Alex, once it completes, there's no going back. We'll be linked forever, sharing thoughts and emotions. My people have never bonded with another species. We don't know what it will do to you." Another pulse of energy filled the room, stronger than before. Alex felt Luna's alien memories flash through his mind. Images of vast cities made of light, beings of pure energy dancing among the stars, worlds where the laws of physics worked differently than on Earth. It should have been terrifying, but instead it felt like coming home. "I'm not afraid," Alex said, stepping closer to her. "You should be. If my people find out about this, they'll take me away, and if the bond is broken after it forms completely, it could destroy both our minds." Alex looked at Luna, seeing her flickering between human and energy form, and made a decision that surprised even him. Instead of running away, he reached out and took her glowing hand in his. The moment their skin touched, the world exploded into color and sensation. Alex felt Luna's energy merge with his own, and suddenly he understood things that human science hadn't even dreamed of. He could sense the electromagnetic fields of every living thing around them. He could feel the storm outside as a living entity, full of power and purpose. But most importantly, he could feel Luna's true self, not the human disguise she wore, but the brilliant ancient consciousness that had traveled across the galaxy. She was beautiful and terrible, and completely alien, but she was also kind and lonely and afraid, just like any person he had ever known. "Alex," Luna's voice came from everywhere at once. "What have we done?" "Something amazing," he replied, and realized he was speaking without moving his mouth. They were communicating through pure thought now. The energy storm around them began to calm, settling into a steady, warm glow. The floating furniture gently returned to the floor, and Luna's form solidified back into her human appearance, but she looked different now, more real somehow, as if she had been slightly out of focus before and was now perfectly clear. "How do you feel?" she asked aloud, her voice shaky. Alex took inventory of himself. He felt incredibly alive, like every cell in his body was humming with new energy. Colors seemed brighter, sounds were clearer, and he could sense Luna's presence like a warm light in the back of his mind. Different. But good different. Like I've been half asleep my whole life and just woke up. Luna smiled. The first completely relaxed smile he had ever seen from her. "The bond worked. I can feel you too, Alex. Your thoughts, your emotions, your memories. You have such a beautiful mind." "So what happens now?" Alex asked. Luna's expression grew serious. "Now we have a problem. My people monitor all their observers through energy signatures. The bonding will have created a massive spike that they can't ignore. They'll send someone to investigate. How long do we have? Maybe a few days, maybe a week. When they find out what happened, they'll want to take me back to our homeworld immediately. The bond between us is unprecedented. They'll want to study it, which means separating us to see what happens." Alex felt a chill of fear, both his own and Luna's, through their connection. "And you said that could be dangerous for both of us. Potentially fatal. Our minds are connected now at the deepest level. Tearing that apart." Luna shuddered. "I don't want to find out what that would do." Alex stood up and started pacing, his mind racing through possibilities. "Then we need to convince them that this bond is valuable, not dangerous. You said this has never happened before. Maybe it's evolution, a step forward for both our species. You don't understand how my people think. They value stability and order above everything else. The idea of bonding with what they consider a primitive species will terrify them. Then we'll have to show them I'm not primitive. Alex said with determination. You've given me access to energy manipulation abilities, right? Through our bond? Luna nodded. Some, yes, you should be able to sense electromagnetic fields now, maybe even influence them slightly. Alex concentrated, focusing on the crystal panels in Luna's ceiling. To his amazement, he was able to make them brighten and dim by thinking about it. It was like flexing a muscle he never knew he had. This is incredible, he breathed. If we can demonstrate that the bond enhances both of us, maybe they'll see it as beneficial rather than dangerous. Luna looked hopeful for the first time since the bonding. It's worth trying. But Alex, you need to understand what you're risking. If we fail to convince them, you could lose everything. Your life here, your research, maybe even your sanity. Alex looked into her eyes, feeling their connection pulse with shared emotion. Luna, for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Whatever happens next, we'll face it together. Outside, the storm was finally clearing, but both Alex and Luna knew that a much bigger storm was coming. Their bond had set events in motion that would change not just their lives, but possibly the relationship between two entire species. 3 days after the bonding, Alex woke up to find Luna sitting by his window, staring at the sky with a worried expression. Through their connection, he could feel her anxiety like a cold weight in his chest. They're coming, she said without turning around. I can sense their ships approaching Earth. We have maybe 6 hours before they arrive. Alex sat up in bed, instantly alert. Over the past few days, he had been practicing with his new abilities. He could now sense electromagnetic fields from several blocks away and even influence small electronic devices with his thoughts. But he still felt completely unprepared for what was coming. How many? He asked. 3 ships, probably carrying enforcement agents and a council member. They wouldn't send so many unless they considered this a serious threat. Alex got dressed quickly and followed Luna back to her house. In the daylight, her alien technology was even more impressive. She had been preparing for this moment, setting up devices that looked like a cross between computers and musical instruments. What's the plan? Alex asked. We need to document everything about our bond before they arrive. If we can show them scientific proof that this connection benefits both species, maybe they'll listen before making any rash decisions. Luna activated one of her devices and holographic displays filled the room. Alex watched in amazement as 3-dimensional charts and graphs appeared in the air, showing brainwave patterns, energy readings, and biological data. This is your neural activity before the bond, Luna explained, pointing to one display. And this is after. Look at the difference. Alex stared at the data. His brain patterns had changed dramatically. The new patterns were more complex, more organized, almost musical in their rhythm. I'm smarter, he said in wonder. Not just smarter. Your brain is processing information in ways that were impossible before. You're thinking with both human intuition and Kaitera logic patterns. Luna showed him more displays. His electromagnetic sensitivity, his new ability to perceive energy fields, even changes in his physical health. Everything had improved. What about you? Alex asked. What did the bond do to you? Luna smiled and activated another display. Look at this. Before bonding with you, my emotional range was limited. Kaitera experience feelings differently than humans, less intense, more controlled. But now, her display showed emotional patterns that were incredibly rich and varied. I can feel joy, sadness, excitement, and love in ways I never thought possible. The bond didn't diminish either of us, Alex. It made us both more complete. They spent the next few hours recording everything they could. Luna taught Alex how to demonstrate his new abilities on camera, and she showed her own enhanced emotional responses. They were building a case that their bond represented evolution, not contamination. Around noon, Alex felt a strange pressure in the air, like the moment before a thunderstorm. Luna's devices began beeping urgently. They're here, she said, her face pale. Outside, the sky began to shimmer. Alex watched through the window as 3 objects materialized out of thin air, looking like ships made of liquid crystal. They were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. clearly technology far beyond anything Earth had developed. The ships landed silently in the empty field behind Luna's house. Moments later, figures began walking toward them. They looked human, at first glance, but as they got closer, Alex could see they moved with the same otherworldly grace as Luna. Their eyes held ancient wisdom, and they radiated power that made Alex's new senses tingle. Luna of the Western Observer Corps, the lead figure called out in a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. You will come with us immediately. Luna stepped outside, and Alex followed despite her gesture for him to stay back. He wasn't going to hide while her people decided their fate. Counselor Vex, Luna replied formally. I request permission to present evidence before any decisions are made. The counselor looked at Alex with obvious distaste. You have bonded with a primitive being against all protocols. There is nothing to discuss. With respect, counselor. You're wrong, Alex said, stepping forward. The other Kaitera looked shocked that he had spoken. Alex, don't, Luna whispered through their mental connection. But Alex had made up his mind. I know you can sense our bond. Feel it for yourself. This connection hasn't harmed either of us. It's made us both stronger. To demonstrate, Alex reached out with his new abilities and gently influenced the electromagnetic field around them. Flowers in Luna's garden began to bloom more brightly, and the Kaitera devices on their ships started humming in harmony. Counselor Vex raised an eyebrow. Interesting. The primitive has developed some basic energy manipulation, but this proves nothing except that our essence can contaminate lesser species. It's not contamination, Luna said passionately. Show them the data, Alex. Alex activated. Luna's holographic displays and the scientific evidence filled the air between them. The other Kaitera moved closer, studying the information with growing interest. Look at the neural integration patterns, Luna continued. Alex isn't becoming Kaitera, and I'm not becoming human. We're creating something new, something that combines the best of both species. One of the enforcement agents, younger than the others, spoke up. The emotional enhancement data is remarkable. I've never seen anything like it. Counselor Vex silenced him with a look. Even if this bond has benefits, it remains a violation of our non-interference laws. Luna must return with us, and the bond must be severed. And if that kills us both? Alex demanded. That is an acceptable risk to preserve the security of both our peoples. Alex felt Luna's despair through their connection, but also her determination. She stepped forward and did something that shocked everyone present. She allowed her human disguise to drop partially, revealing her true energy form, while still maintaining physical shape. Counselor, for over 200 Earth years, I have served as an observer, following every rule, maintaining perfect isolation. But this bond has shown me something our people have forgotten in our pursuit of order and control. And what is that? Counselor Vex asked coldly. Growth, evolution, the possibility that we might become something greater than what we are. Alex has given me the ability to feel emotions as deeply as any being in the universe, while I've given him perception beyond his species' natural limits. Together we represent a bridge between worlds that could benefit everyone. The counselor stared at them for a long moment. Through their bond, Alex could feel Luna preparing for the worst. But then something unexpected happened. One of the younger enforcement agents stepped forward. Counselor, I request permission to scan their bond more thoroughly before any irreversible decisions are made. Counselor Vex looked annoyed. Agent Zara, this is not... With respect, sir. If this bond truly represents evolutionary advancement, destroying it without full study could be the greatest mistake in our civilization's history. Alex held his breath, feeling Luna's hope mix with his own through their connection. Maybe, just maybe, they had a chance. Agent Zara's words hung in the air like a challenge. Counselor Vex looked irritated, but Alex could sense through Luna that Kaitera society valued scientific discovery above almost everything else. The counselor couldn't ignore a legitimate request for further study without losing face. Very well, Counselor Vex said reluctantly. You have 1 hour to conduct your analysis, but I warn you, If this bond poses any threat to either species, it will be severed immediately. Agent Zara approached Alex and Luna with a device that looked like a crystal scanner. I need you both to maintain full mental connection while I take readings. Don't try to hide anything. I need to see the complete integration pattern. Alex took Luna's hand, and immediately their bond strengthened. Through their connection, he could feel her gratitude and hope, mixed with lingering fear. Together, they opened their minds to the scanning device. What happened next amazed everyone present. The scanner began projecting a three-dimensional map of their neural networks, showing how their consciousness had become intertwined. But instead of the chaotic mess everyone expected from cross-species bonding, the pattern was incredibly beautiful. Two distinct minds that had grown together like intertwined trees, each strengthening the other. Fascinating, Agent Zara murmured, adjusting her scanner. Counselor, you need to see this. The human's brain has developed new neural pathways that mirror our thought patterns, but his original human consciousness is completely intact. And Luna's energy matrix has gained emotional depth without losing any of her Kytera abilities. More importantly, Luna added, show them the creativity enhancement. Agent Zara nodded and ran another scan. Alex, can you solve this mathematical problem? She projected a complex equation into the air, something that would normally take human scientists months to work through. Alex looked at the equation and felt Luna's logical processing abilities merge with his human intuition. The answer came to him not through pure calculation, but through a kind of inspired understanding that combined both their ways of thinking. The answer is 847.3, but more importantly, this type of equation could be used to predict energy flow patterns in living systems, Alex said confidently. The Kytera agents exchanged impressed glances. This wasn't just enhanced intelligence. It was a completely new way of approaching problems that neither species could achieve alone. Now, Luna, Agent Zara said, describe what you see when you look at that flower garden. Luna looked at Alex's garden next door, and her expression grew soft. I see beauty in a way I never could before. Each flower isn't just a biological entity. It's a unique expression of life's creativity. The colors don't just exist in the electromagnetic spectrum. They carry emotional meaning. Red means passion, blue means peace, yellow means joy. Through Alex's human perspective, I can appreciate art and beauty as more than just interesting data. Counselor Vex frowned. Emotions are a weakness. They cloud judgment and lead to poor decisions. With respect, Counselor, Alex said boldly, you're wrong. Yes, emotions can be overwhelming if you don't understand them, but they're also the source of creativity, compassion, and innovation. Luna's people have incredible technology, but when was the last time you created something just because it was beautiful? When did you last help someone simply because it felt good to be kind? Art and kindness serve no practical purpose, the counselor replied coldly. Don't they? Luna asked. She gestured to Agent Zara's scanner. Show them the psychological profile. Data. Agent Zara looked hesitant but complied. The holographic display showed stress levels, satisfaction ratings, and psychological health markers for both Alex and Luna. Luna's mental health has improved dramatically since the bonding, Agent Zara reported. Her stress levels are at the lowest we've ever recorded for a long-term observer. She's more creative, more motivated, and showing none of the isolation syndrome that affects 90% of our deep cover operatives. And Alex, Luna added, show them his physical health data. The scanner revealed that Alex's immune system had strengthened, his brain function had improved, and even old injuries were healing faster than should be medically possible. The bond isn't just making us smarter, Alex explained. It's making us better in every way. Luna's energy healing abilities are fixing problems in my body I didn't even know I had, while my emotional depth is giving her a sense of purpose and satisfaction she never experienced before. Agent Zara stepped back from her scanner looking amazed. Counselor, in over 300 years of observing different species, we have never documented anything like this. This bond doesn't violate our non-interference protocols. It transcends them. These two have created a new form of consciousness that benefits both species without harming either one. The youngest enforcement agent spoke up again. Sir, imagine if we could establish voluntary bonding programs. Humans could gain enhanced mental abilities and longevity, while our people could develop emotional intelligence and creativity. Both civilizations would advance faster than either could alone. Counselor Vex stood in silence for several minutes, clearly struggling with the decision that went against everything he believed. Finally, he spoke. This is highly irregular. Our laws exist for good reasons. Laws should serve life, not the other way around, Luna said gently. Alex and I aren't asking you to change everything overnight. We're just asking for the chance to prove that cooperation between species is possible. Alex felt inspiration strike through their bond. What if we became a research project? You could study our bond, document how it develops over time, and use that information to determine whether this kind of connection could be beneficial on a larger scale. A formal diplomatic contact program, Luna added excitedly. Instead of secret observation, we could establish open cultural exchange. Humans are ready for it. They've been searching for life beyond Earth for decades. Agent Zara looked thrilled. The scientific value alone would be incredible. We could learn more about consciousness and evolution in a few years than we have in centuries of passive observation. Counselor Vex walked in a slow circle around Alex and Luna, studying them intently. Finally, he stopped in front of them. Against my better judgment, I am willing to authorize a limited experiment. You two will continue your bond under scientific supervision. Agent Zara will establish a research station here to monitor your development and assess the potential for broader contact between our species. Alex felt such a rush of relief and joy that he nearly fell over. Through their connection, Luna's happiness mixed with his own, until he wasn't sure where his emotions ended and hers began. However, the counselor continued sternly, if this experiment shows any signs of danger to either species, it will be terminated immediately. And Luna, you are no longer just an observer. You are now Earth's first official Kytera ambassador. Luna bowed formally. I understand the responsibility, counselor. I won't let our people down. See that you don't. As the Kytera ships prepared to leave, Agent Zara stayed behind to set up her research equipment. Alex and Luna stood together, in their backyard, watching the crystal ships disappear into the afternoon sky. So what happens now? Alex asked. Luna smiled and took his hand. Now we get to figure out what it means to be the first bonded pair between two species. We'll probably make mistakes, but we'll make them together. And we get to help both our peoples prepare for a future where humans and Kytera work as partners instead of strangers. Through their bond, Alex could feel Luna's contentment mixing with excitement about the possibilities ahead. They had gone from neighbors to bonded partners to interspecies ambassadors in just a few weeks. It should have been overwhelming, but instead it felt like the beginning of the greatest adventure either of them could imagine. 6 months later, Alex and Luna established the Institute for Interspecies Cooperation, with Agent Zara as their first Kytera research partner. They were no longer the only bonded pair. 3 other volunteer couples had successfully completed the bonding process, each bringing their own unique strengths to the growing partnership between worlds. Their quiet life on Maple Street had become something extraordinary, and Alex couldn't imagine wanting it any other way.